How many know the difference between a mom and a mother? Sitting here in this hall today brings various emotions to me. Exactly 15 years ago, roundabouts there, I used to sit in the crowd where you guys are, watching our little girl Tanya perform on this very stage. Little girl, times without her teeth, front teeth and all. We all, as parents, we all know those faces. And she'd be there cranking her neck, looking out to try and identify us in the crowd. And you'd see she had no focus here. She was just looking for mom or dad. And once she sees us, then she follows the play. I'm sure most of you have experienced that. But my story tonight is not about Tanya, the little one, but it's about Tanya, her grandmother. So the year 2000 for me was a great year, a year I was so looking forward to. I think the word new millennium meant everything new in career, new in terms of finances, just good stuff, positivity. Two major things happened in that year, at the beginning of the year 2000. The first one was in our neighboring Uganda here. There was a cult called the Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments. This was a cult, also they called them, who, again, they said committed suicide, similar to Jim Jones in Guyana once upon a time. The second thing that happened to me is I received a call from my younger brother who tells me he would like to meet me. And I said, okay, let's go do some nyama jugunas, not these 4-star, 5-star jugunas of today. We met at the original jugunas. You know, the one where you needed one free hand to eat. Okay, I can see we all remember that place. We meet at jugunas, and in the middle of all that fly stuff and some cold ones, he just tells me very casually, oh, by the way, my mom is not. And I'm like, wait, this guy speaks good English, so that he can't make such a grammatical. I said, just come again. He says, mom is not your mom. So I say, okay, so who is my mom? There's some other woman out there. Who? Do you know her? No. So how do you know that she's my mom? I've heard. I was told. I got a call to go to Kanungu to cover the cult story. And there I was filming, at times walking over these bodies that were laid out on the ground and walking over them with the camera. And I couldn't think of anything else but ask, so who am I? Who is this woman that's my mother? If mom is not my mom, Tanya is not my mom, then who is my mom? So we were in Kanungu for almost a month, and we got back to Nairobi, and immediately went to look for my dad. And I asked him, so tell me about mom. I think he was very surprised. I think this was a secret that was never supposed to come out. I was never supposed to know about this past of mine. So he told me, yes, that's true. Tanya is not your blood mom, but she's your mom. Yeah? The other one, I don't know where she is, because of course the next thing you want to know is who is she, what does she look like, what's her name, give me some details. So I don't know whether he was doing it to protect me or anything, but that's when, as the Americans cite the fifth, my mzee being now of a certain age, cited memory. So what's her name? I can't remember. What did she look like? Oh gosh, it was a long time ago. I was very close to one of his friends, very good friends when they were students, and I went to seek that friend and ask him. I call him PK. So PK, what's the story about my mom? He's also shocked. I think the first thing he wanted to do was say, let me just go to the bathroom, I'll come back, call my dad and say, does he know? What is? So he stood, he gave me that look like, and I could feel that mouse in his head moving, spinning the wheel and saying, now what do I tell this guy? How much does he know? I think he was sworn to this secret. So, somehow, the Wazes, and I really thank Wazes and their wisdom. He handled it very well without revealing too much or betraying the trust he had. And I think it's after 2 or 3 sessions that he actually gave me the full story. And the story goes like this. I was born in a town called Plovdiv, in a country called Bulgaria. So that's where I breathed my first to one Dr. Munyua, Leonard Munyua, and one Stoyanka Dimitrova Raicheva. Stoyanka Dimitrova Raicheva was commonly known as Tanya. This was difficult times. This was a Plovdiv, Eastern Europe, communist state in the 60s. The Cold War was happening, and my mom gave birth to me, and I think realized, oops, there'll be trouble coming up her way, or whatever. I don't know, I cannot speak for her, but I was born and she took off. What they call an abandoned baby, but in the hospital. I don't know whether I can say what comforts me is that she had a change of heart the next day and came back to get me. So that was like a temporary state of shock or something like that. However, when she came back, she was told, some doctors from Syria came and took me, and I have left the place. So obviously they made a mistake, Syria and Kenya. So, meanwhile, as was the practice then, for babies who've been abandoned or mothers died at childbirth and there was no family to claim, we were immediately moved to a children's home. My mother comes, asks for the baby's been taken by some Syrians, and she goes off looking for me in Syria. Not geographically Syria, but her mind now is, who are these Syrians and how can I get my baby from Syria? The medical students used to do rounds in the wards. It was part of their internship program. And just like a joke, someone mentioned, there's a kid who looks like my dad. And my dad, out of curiosity, goes to the children's home, sees me, and I think he knew, Huyu wangu, this is mine. Wow! These doctors who were in med school with my dad created a shift system, a rota system amongst themselves, and they're the ones who used to take care of me. They used to bath me, feed me, and all that sort of stuff. In the meantime, my dad met Tanya in med school, fell in love. All parents tell us that, don't they? Fell in love and all that. I won't go into those details because I've told the same thing to my kids, how we fell in love and all that stuff. And Tanya's journey to adopting me began. It was a tedious process, again, being in a communist Bulgaria in the 60s. And that constant question, why would you want to adopt a colored kid, Of course, she didn't know she was coming to Kenya with my dad and all that, but she knew she was adopting. So fast forward, we moved to Kenya. So, life growing up, was like all of us Kenyans. The hustle is real. Only that now the hustle is more of a hustle. In the 70s and the 80s, it was less of a hustle like it is today. It was really smooth. Everything worked. At one point, we stayed in Pumwani, next to the doctor's flats. I remember Pumwani being like this street in Europe, all black and white on the pavement and center line and all the bus stops. The bus used to stop at the bus stop. Things worked. It was beautiful. Beautiful. No one do these matatus there, whistling, all that. You knew your bus and you knew at what time it would pass. You get on the bus and all that. Did the usual school and went off for my higher education. So my dad comes and we hang around for the first time like buddies. In that conversation, we talk about my mom, and he tells me about the illness is getting worse. The illness I'm talking is schizophrenia. We grew up, it was a quite a difficult childhood in the sense I didn't understand what was going on with mom. All I remember was frequent visits to doctors, lots of medicine on the bedside, and sometimes periods where she would hardly leave her room. She was locked up in there, sleeping out the medicine. And it worsened in 1982 after she lost her father, and her condition, I think, got worse. Understandably, now I can understand why. But then, of course, I'm a teenager. I've started smoking. I'm doing all the things that piss her off, and we had big fights, very, very big fights. I mean, to the extent that I would ask my dad, why does she hate me so much? Sometimes, in fact, I remember one incident. The reason I play guitar today, I was 10, I lost money, she had sent me to the shop. And I don't know how many of you remember moms beat you with anything that's close by. So there was the neck of a guitar, a broken guitar. And I was beaten with that guitar. And I think via osmosis, I learned to play guitar that day. But anyway, I just couldn't deal with some of those things, especially the illness, the repetition, the stuff, the demands and all that. I saw it as a bother. And here I was trying to start a family, everything, to get my life in order. Little Tanya was born. So my focus was career, baby, all those things. Until she came one day and told me, Martin, I'm sick. And I'm like, okay, what is it? It says cancer. And honestly, this is the first I've been hearing about cancer. It's never been that close to me. Those things of level 1, level 2, whatever, I had no clue about them because there's no reason for me to read, study, and try and understand this illness. All I would remember is go to funerals and, do maombolezi because, and you know that the late passed from cancer. But so now this is my mom. It's close to home. She tells me it's level 3 or something, and we start this whole process, chemo. She came to live with us. That was an experience because anyone who's lived with someone going through cancer, first of all, it's costly. She did all her treatment here in Nairobi. But while doing the treatment, it was double hard because it was not only chemo, it was chemo together with psychiatry because the chemo, the illness also resulted in some psychiatric things. So each time she would go to be administered the chemo, it'll be like, that whole process will take like 2 weeks of hospitalization. And this carried on for about maybe 2 years. And what pained me most was seeing this woman who came, apparently looked very healthy, flowing hair and everything. All the hair's gone, reduced to a very thin person, thin body frame with sagging skin and stuff like that. And just that visual was really unbearable. So come 2010, January, we had just come back from Christmas holiday. She opted to go and stay with her friend, Rebecca, who is part of this story. She opted to stay with her friend, Rebecca, for that Christmas period. They had this church thing going, Deliverance Church. They were very prayerful, and they decided to spend that Christmas in prayer. So while she was there, in prayer, as we were elsewhere, having fun. So we come back, because I was with the family, we come back, and I remember going to pick her on 2nd of January from Rebecca's house and bring her home. And on 3rd January 2010, she tells me, I'm done with chemo. I want to go back to my home in Topa. I said, are you sure, Mom? She said, I'm 100% sure. Me and chemo, I'm done. The person I used to call more was actually the helper. Every week I used to call her and ask, how are you guys doing? How is Mom doing? How's this? How's that? So, good. In fact, nowadays she's singing, cleaning the house, She cooks for us. I'm like, really? Are we talking about the same person? Yeah. Here we are having a ball. It went on until March. Then come March, we were busy preparing to do a cookery show, a very big cookery show for Congo market. And in the middle of all that setup and all that, I receive a call saying Mom has been hospitalized. I said, oh my, can you come? I said, well, not right now, but I'll talk to you guys later. So Mom was hospitalized and then started the calls. Every day, mostly in the evening, a call from an unknown number, and it was too many unknowns, I couldn't save them. And each time someone on the other side would say, your mom is asking for you, come to Mombasa, come see her. I'm like, okay, I will. In my head, I'm saying I'm busy. Right now, we are really prepping this show. I need this job. The show has to go on well. Mom will deal with her later. So the sister decided to visit Kenya and have a safari. She also wanted a little break from her own life out there. So she came, landed on a Friday. Now the days now, you have to follow these days. So she lands on a Friday. I pick them from the airport. She's with her husband. And Friday, I receive a call from my mother's friend, Rebecca. And she says, Martin, if you don't want to live a life of regret, come now. Your mom is not doing well. And the following day, Saturday, I had a car and took a nice scenic drive to Mombasa. Got to Mombasa at night around 8:30 p.m. And went straight to the hospital. So we went and stood right in front of her. I said, Mom, I'm here. No, I want Martin. So I told her, sis, talk to her in Bulgarian. Maybe she'll understand. So the sis tells her in Bulgarian, I'm here. Hi, Tanya. She insisted, I want Martin. I'm not, and I remember her saying, I am not stupid. So the nurse told us, you know what? Just go, come back tomorrow. When I got to the hotel, something just occurred to me. Maybe while we're all here tomorrow, maybe let's also have a prayer session in her room, because of course she has skipped several Sundays church, and she'd really love that her sister is here, I'm here, I'll call my bro, and all her church peeps. So I arranged that. I also called the hospital, arranged for some writings, a snack table and things like that. So the next morning, Sunday, remember Saturday, she didn't recognize any of us. So Sunday morning, after breakfast, we go to the hospital, and there she is sitting in bed, all dolled up, bathed, everything, looking beautiful. I think she also managed to get a very beautiful wig from somewhere, and she recognized all of us. She was so happy to see us. She was happy to see me. We hugged. And then her sister, of course, who's come all that way to visit her. And we talked. I gave them space, her and her sister, to catch up. And I went to see the doctor and understand her status from a medical point of view. And it was not looking very good at all. Not good at all. But he said they still hope, you never know, weeks, something like that, but it's not going to be long. I said, okay, so that's not news anyone wants to hear, but I was looking forward to the church service at 4, hoping that I'll also say a prayer in that church service and maybe some miracle will happen. So I think that prayer, either God spoke to me or whatever it is, I don't know, but I just sat there and I held her hand and I said, Mom, I know our life has been very difficult, our relationship, you and I. We fought a lot. I didn't remind her about the guitar, but and I didn't go into any details. I just said we fought a lot, and I know she understood what I was talking about. But I said, I just want you to know that I hold no grudges. All that is in the past. I forgive you and I love you. So I just want you to know that. And then you pause, you wait for an answer, you wait to be told I love you back or something, isn't it? She just looked at me and said, tell them to bring me oxygen. So we go, and in the evening my aunt tells me, listen, I really need some nice strong drink, and I want to have some Kenyan drink. What is your nice Kenyan drink? And, some Kenyan cuisine. I said, come, let's go do some nyama choma, and I'll get a viceroy and something like that, So we went, ordered this mixed platter, and mzinga of, we call it mzinga of viceroy. I tell her, this one you will like, and Coke. And we pour ourselves drinks and everything. I could see my aunt was very, very thoughtful, and you could see she was really moody. But my uncle was experiencing Kenya for the first time, so he was okay. Like most men with a viceroy. So anyway, as we're having this thing, all I remember, like I can see this now, like just a minute ago, the platter was put on the table, bam. And I told them, we washed our hands, we did that whole washing hand thing. And I said, here we say, karibuni, welcome. As I was approaching, I was on my final for the pilots, I was on my finals, when the phone rang. And I could see it was my mom's helper. So I answer the phone, I hear wailing on the other side. And I just hung up. I don't even bother saying, hello, hello. I just hung up, put that nice piece of meat back, and I told my aunt, she's gone to be the Lord. So we went back to the hospital. I could see her on the bed now, covered in a bed sheet. The woman I left 2 hours ago, all dolled up, looking like the most beautiful mom, was there under a white sheet. Personally, I don't do dead bodies, that kind of stuff. And I wanted also the memory of me sitting and talking, having a conversation about cakes with her. That's what I wanted to be the last memory. And it is that, actually. I didn't even view the coffin. Since I was doing a lot of I was everything, the MC, the sound, the speaker, the water. The coffin was put in a way where the ones going to view, I would never get to look inside. So my aunt did her prayers and final whatever rites in Bulgarian customs, and began the process of, the funeral. We put mom to rest. The next day, my family left to come back to Nairobi. So, back to my hotel room alone, I moaned. I cried. They say Jesus wept. I think they don't understand. That one, I think if you put a barometer, maybe Jesus wept was number 2. Me, I was at 10. Half an hour non-stop, and then I felt relieved. Mom rests. She's in a better place. So, my comeback from this story. Communicate with the loved ones as often as you can, because you don't want to be told you live a life of regret. Now we have got WhatsApp, we've got being in the US, being in India, being wherever is not an excuse. Pick up the call them. When they call you, yes, sometimes you're in a meeting or something, but always call back. And don't forget to tell them frequently and remind them how much you love them. Don't wait until that last moment. My other comeback is forgiveness. When you carry that weight on your shoulders, when you think someone has wronged you and all that, and you just, again, there's a word I'm looking for, it has escaped. closure. Have that earlier in life than later, while your loved ones are still around. If there is anything, funga yo maneno, get it over and done with. Sometimes saying sorry is very difficult. Sometimes I came to realize something in life. Sometimes you just say sorry to get the thing going. Even though you know yenyewe, this I'm not the cause, but sometimes that's what the person wants to hear. Say it. It's not a difficult word. And my last comeback. It's not about how your life begins or where it begins. Mine started in a children's home, abandoned baby. What matters is where you are today. And that is my story.